As you sail the inky void of Wildspace or the shimmering astral sea, your captain calls out, "There she blows! A fearsome beast approaches! Batten down the hatches!"
Join us tonight as we present 6 impossible creatures for Spelljammer.
That's how we roll. 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 Welcome to the Goblin's Corner. My name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight,
we're talking about monsters for Spelljammer.
That's right. Wildspace is deadly. The Shimmering Seas are often filled with Githyanki or worse.
Sure.
And as we all know, Spelljammer has come out for 5th edition. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But we feel it could get a bit more love.
100%.
So this evening, we have 6 brand new creatures for free for you to use in your spelljamming campaign. And I have to say, Matt, these are deadly creatures.
They are. A couple of them are smart enough to be NPCs, though. They
Yes.
don't have to be deadly.
And one of them could literally be a lair.
That is true.
So this evening, we've got, as we mentioned, 6 new creatures. Each of them will have a description of the beastie.
It's going to have any special abilities you need to know about.
Like breathing a fireball or whatnot.
Sure.
Might have some combat and ecology ideas behind the monster.
And some lore.
Because we like lore.
Yes.
And if you want to stat these up or you would like us to stat them up, hit us up. We'll definitely do that. Or you can stat it up yourself. That's also cool too.
Yeah.
We like stats. We're just not doing them tonight.
It's a little dry if you go over each individual stat.
Yeah, it's too much in a podcast. If you guys want to see the stats, you know what we'll do is we'll put them up on our website. That way you can go to goblinscorner.com, check them out.
Sure.
All right, on to the beasties, Matt. And the first one, I must say, is a terror, gargantuan creature of rainbow colors. I love this creature because it really should have existed long before we came up with it.
Yes, it really should have.
And for some reason, it hasn't. And that's okay. We've come up with it now.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. So, Matt, talk to us about the Prismatic portal spider.
All right. As your ship comes to an unexpected stop, just as you are about to enter a color pool, an impossibly large spider with chitin that appears to be made of mirrored prisms clambers over the edge of the pool and heads directly for you.
That is really cool. So a prismatic spider.
Absolutely.
Mirror-like chitin?
I have a reason for that. And to me, it was thematic because color pools change color, and having a single-colored spider felt like it wasn't very useful.
Well, and it would mimic the color pool.
Right.
And that's really awesome as well. It's some adaptive camouflage. And by the way, color pools can be quite large.
Yes. They are big enough for ships to go through, but they can be even larger than that.
That's pretty frightening considering the spiders might be the size of the color pool.
Yes.
All right. What are the special abilities of a prismatic portal spider?
You've got portal walking. My idea behind this is like a water strider. They can actually walk across the surface of the portal.
Oh, so it doesn't like transfer from portal to portal. It just kind of stands on the portal.
Right, because they've got to be able to put their web up. So how would you do that if the portal was constantly sucking them through?
This would really suck if you were an astral traveler, just a lone wizard. You know what? You've got your, maybe you're trailing on your silver cord.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're opened up that bag of holding inside a bag of holding and you've jettisoned yourself into the astral sea and you're floating about and you see this spider. Or maybe you don't see the spider, you see a portal.
Right.
And the way out.
Yeah, you see a portal to the prime material plane and you head straight for it and then get stuck in a giant web.
Yeah, these prismatic claws just grip you and pierce your flesh.
Yep,
That's
bad
awesome.
days.
Bad days. All right, so portal walking. What's next?
Planar native.
Mm-hmm.
That just means that they are native to all planes.
That is very interesting.
My theory being you can't just drop kick like Sparta them into the portal and just be like, well, that's taken care of. They just come right back out unfazed.
That also means banishment doesn't work.
Correct.
Nice. And finally, you have web.
Well, yeah.
Because it's a spider.
Right. The giant steel cables came from somewhere. Obviously, it's an enormous spider. It spins an enormous web to lock your ship in place.
All right. So I'm being attacked by a giant prismatic spider. What kind of combat are we talking about here?
It's a giant spider, right? So it's going to have like the 2 stabbing attacks. It's going to have a bite attack. But most importantly, the poison of the spider acts as a dimensional anchor.
Ah, so no teleporting, no planar hopping at all?
You can't banish yourself to get away. As long as you are poisoned, you cannot use...
So if you get bit, you are dimensional locked for a brief time.
Yes.
And DMs, however long you'd like that to be, if you're kind, maybe a couple rounds, or you can make a save every round. DMs, if you're not kind.
There are creatures out there for whom the poisoned condition lasts an hour. At that point in time, the decision, however this fight plays out, it's already played out.
Ah, very deadly. I love everything about this. Talk to me about the ecology of the prismatic portal spider.
These things act much like regular spiders, right? A pair finds each other, they mate, they have an egg sac. It's made of a bunch of eggs. The little spiderlings hatch. They balloon in the astral plane.
Oh, very cool.
Out to small little color pools until they eventually trap enough things to get larger and larger. And as they get larger, they move to larger color pools.
So these are pretty much native to the astral plane the whole time.
Yes.
I find this really interesting because you see a whole bunch of spiders ballooning their way through the astral plane, being native, and maybe you're an adventuring party. You're traveling through on a bicycle built for 12, which is one of the magic items we came up with in a previous episode, and you just happen to see, oh, look, these rainbow silk bubbles, and they actually happen to have man-sized spiders that pierce you, dissolving you from within.
I also like the idea that they actually start off at like real spiderling size.
Oh, just like a regular spider size and just get enormous?
Yeah.
Because nothing dies on the astral plane, so they could live forever.
Exactly.
Another great mental picture for this, by the way, Matt, is can you imagine you're rolling up on a portal. You're about to go through. Are you ready for the big bad? You know, it's like one of the abyssal planes, something like that.
Sure.
And there's just a spider web on it with a bunch of corpses. Demonic corpses.
Yeah, anytime. They eat whatever.
Some Githyanki just chilling there.
Sure.
And you're like, damn, the hell am I walking? What am I going to walk through?
Especially if you're headed to the abyss. Like, you might be thinking, is Loth making a play here?
Yeah, you just turn around and be like, nope, I'm done.
Good.
I'm done.
I'm good.
Awesome.
But imagine also you've got like a swarm keeper ranger or something that adds one of these little fellows to a swarm. Like if you're out spelljamming.
Oh, yes.
And you come across, it's just a cute little spider. It's just a friendly little guy.
Keep it as a pet till it gets too big.
And you keep feeding it and it just doesn't stop growing.
And now we have the Spelljammer version of arachnophobia.
Yes.
All right. Talk to me about some lore with this spider.
Other than their unusual hunting methods, the only truly interesting thing about them is the fact that their poison can be harvested and used against foes.
So you could coat your dagger with this and keep somebody from teleporting away.
Yes.
Very cool.
Also, a properly preserved ball of their webbing can be used for a plane shift spell. Plane shift requires an anchor for each plane. A ball of this webbing acts as an anchor for whatever plane you want to go to.
So like a focus or material component for this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Takes, let's say, DC 20 alchemy check to preserve the webbing, and it's worth 1,000 gold pieces.
That sounds great. I love that. That's really cool.
I like the idea that since they're native to any plane, that maybe they have something that attaches them.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go from something enormous to something enormous.
Yes. Well, it's not as big as yours. It's not going to capsize a ship, but it is a very large animal for our next spelljamming monster.
Yes. Tell us about the moon pelican. First, what does it look like? What's the description?
This enormous, glossy black pelican is interspersed with feathers of shimmering white, giving it the impression of a star field. As it enters your ship's air envelope, it takes a deep breath, expanding its bright gold throat pouch and angles starboard, deep into the inky void.
Sure.
So this is a creature of Wildspace.
Right.
Now, it could obviously be adapted for the astral sea as well, but I see this as you're in Wildspace floating in a crystal sphere.
Makes sense.
It's a big-ass black pelican with stars.
Sure.
And a gold throat pouch.
As pelicans are wont to do.
As they're wont to do.
What are the special abilities of the moon pelican?
Moon pelicans contain a special air pocket in their throat pouch, which is lined with microscopic oxygen-producing organisms.
Okay.
See where I'm going here?
Yeah.
These giant birds capture live prey within their throat pouches, storing the animals for several weeks so that they can feed while in the depths of space. So it picks up a cow.
Right.
The cow's wandering around for a little while because, it could take a long time to get from moon to moon.
Sure.
And so while they're on the wing, they keep it alive because you don't want to eat rotten meat.
Right. That's gross.
That's gross, right? Additionally, moon pelicans are immune to both the cold and the harsh vacuum of space, and they can travel the void at spelljamming speeds. Very handy.
Yeah, they can cook. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So for combat, I have a couple ideas about how this is going to go, but what have you got cooking here?
It's a pelican.
Sure.
Not known for their combat abilities, but they could probably swallow you whole.
Sure.
Since that's their MO.
Right, that's what they do.
They could do a wing buffet. They could, thrash around, and they could on you.
Well, yeah.
Don't want to get hit with a big glob of moon pelican.
I was about to say, how big is this guy?
It's a huge creature.
That is not good. That's
Could
no
fit
fun.
a couple of parties in its mouth.
Tell us about the ecology of this thing.
Moon pelicans can be found throughout the many worlds, but nest only on uninhabited moons.
Hence the name.
Hence the name. The ability to leave a planet and survive the depths of space means the offspring are virtually ensured a safe start in life, which is good because the animals tend to only have one child every decade.
Okay, so they're long-lived also.
Long-lived creatures, yes. I mean, you're living in space.
Sure.
You might be traveling
Need
for
to be.
a long time. Yeah. While most of their prey is eaten on the wing, so to speak, occasionally animals are coughed up, oftentimes on completely different worlds, leading to the propagation of many species across planets. I've always wondered, aside from teleportation and magic, how the same squirrels get on 5 or 6 different planets in Spelljammer.
Sure.
And now we know. Could be the gods, or it could be the moon pelicans, folks.
Have you ever seen the piece of artwork where the frog is reaching out of the pelican's mouth to choke it to keep from being swallowed?
Yes.
I feel like that's how you get from place to place in one of these things.
Curiously enough, this is definitely a way you could potentially travel the stars.
Give us the lore on this thing then.
Well, speaking of which, the ability of the moon pelican to sustain a breathable atmosphere and sail amongst the stars has led several groups of enterprising or crazy adventurers to attempt to tame these creatures with mixed results.
Mm-hmm.
The company of the Starry Mug, led by Gnomish Druid Flabber Oak Steelwhistle, has had the most success, with only half the party being swallowed before the Speak with Animal spell convinced the enormous bird to carry the group off-world.
So what you do is you use message or something to start talking to it before it arrives.
Oh, yeah. So as it's swooping in to swallow you.
Yeah. Make sure you have its attention before it starts eating.
Then you get the druid to speak with animals and try to convince it. Got to roll a diplomacy check?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just food. It doesn't care if you're food that can talk. It's an animal.
But it's a huge creature, so a party of 5 could easily sit in a moon pelican for a couple of days, chilling, going from starbase to starbase, so to speak.
You just better have food of your own.
I got to tell you this. Think of the mental picture behind this. You're a spelljamming captain. You're on a nautiloid or a galleon or whatever you're flying on, right? You're in the depths of Wildspace. There's what is it? The scavers, the sharks that are following you, and then you see this giant black bird with starry, stars in its wings and stuff, and it just opens its mouth and expels a bunch of adventurers on your deck.
I like that idea. I also like the idea that the scavers are the moon pelican's favorite food.
That's a great idea.
Because where else is it going to get to eat fish? Out in Wildspace.
That's a good point.
It makes perfect sense.
Makes perfect sense. Got to get your food where you can.
Also, I imagine unless there are scavers around, captains are not happy to see these guys.
No, because they shit on everything.
Right. Also, they may eat some of your crew.
Yeah, just swoop in.
Yep.
Take them off someplace. All right. Next up, we've got a kind of a different series of animals. This is a herd animal, and it is a Cometary Buffalo.
Yep.
Talk to me about the Cometary Buffalo. What's the description behind this beast?
These huge white, blue, and green creatures resemble stony buffalo. They follow cometary masses and graze off of the various elements that the comet sheds.
That's really cool. So they just follow the comets and eat whatever's coming off the comet tail?
Yep.
Nice. What kind of abilities do these Cometary Buffalo have, aside from being buffalo?
The only special ability they have, realistically, is that they move at spelljamming speeds. I feel like I underplayed that. These are giant stony buffalo that move at spelljammer speeds.
Okay, so these aren't like living creatures. These are like elementals.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. But they're shaped like buffalo.
Yes.
Now, we got to have more elemental creatures in our games. This is definitely one way to do it. That'd be really cool just to see them trailing a comet, or maybe grazing amongst an asteroid field.
Sure.
That would be kind of neat as well.
Just waiting for the next comet to cruise through.
Or, oh God, chewing through the plate armor of a Spelljammer ship.
Yeah.
Maybe they like the minerals.
It's tasty.
Tasty minerals. Yes. What is the combat for a Cometary Buffalo?
I want you to imagine a giant stone buffalo.
How big is this thing?
I'm thinking the full-grown ones are mega bison, like 20 feet.
So huge.
Yes.
So they go from
creatures.
like large to huge?
Yes.
Because a bison's probably large.
Right.
Because they're big ass. If you've ever seen a bison in real life, folks, they're big.
So take a bison, look at one of those, and imagine that is the baby of these creatures.
Okay. And there's a herd of them.
And there's a herd of them.
They could just literally plow through a spelljamming ship.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Yes. 100%. It would basically be like being broadsided.
All right. So combat in terms of these things is as per Stone Buffalo.
Yes. Just move every dice up a step, just tweak it upwards.
Yeah, it's like getting hit with a statue.
Yes.
Of a buffalo. While it's chewing on the plate armor of your
relativistic speeds.
Yeah, while it's chewing on your ship. Yeah, moving at relativistic speeds. I mean, it slows down at some point, but...
I like the idea that somebody is trying to ride one of these. Somebody.
Oh, yes. You know who it is? It's a genie.
A Dow?
A Dow. There is a space Dow that is wrangling buffaloes.
Sure.
He's got all the jewels and gems that the Dow have, but he's got a cowboy hat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a stony cowboy hat.
Jeweled spurs on his boots.
Oh man, now we've got a Wild West theme in Spelljammer.
Sure.
But it's in like an asteroid field.
Yep.
Okay, we've got the next game here. Talk to me about the ecology of the Cometary Buffalo, Matt.
Okay. As elemental creatures, little is known about how they come into being or why they resemble terrestrial buffaloes. These are elementals that, for some reason, resemble buffaloes.
Which can happen. Elementals resemble just animals anyway, cats and dogs and whatever.
People,
yeah. There's even dwarves.
Yeah, why are earth elementals bipedal? That doesn't make any sense, but they are.
Because magic.
For reasons.
That's right. Let's talk a little bit about some lore, Matt.
All right. Some adventuring companies and the occasional entrepreneur have figured out how to tame these creatures.
Of course they have.
It is said that they prefer to eat specifically copper, but that it requires a great deal of it to keep them sated.
A great deal, you say. So a pound, 2 pounds.
Having giant hauling beasts that can move at spelljamming speeds is likely worth whatever it costs to feed them, but it does cost 10 gold pieces per day in copper.
That's a lot of copper.
Per buffalo.
Per buffalo. Okay, so you need a copper mine or a small asteroid to just kind of trail with them and feed them?
Maybe, but think about, instead of having your normal Spelljammer ship, you've got a luxury coach being pulled by these things. I feel like you could charge ridiculous prices.
I see a bunch of pennies on the end of a stick.
Sure.
Leading the buffalo along. And every now and then you toss them a penny.
Yeah. Instead of using a whip, you actually use the carrot and the stick where the carrot's made out of copper.
Yes. I love this. This is a great idea. What an awesome spelljamming creature.
That's one of the things I love about Spelljammer is that things can be weird and whimsical and still fit.
100%. Speaking of other things which can be weird and whimsical and still fit, we've got what, Matt?
The question of the week.
Okay. Is it a Spelljammer question this week?
It is.
Excellent. Tell me what it is.
We all know that Spelljammer should have had subclasses, but since it didn't, what subclass would you make for the setting?
I would say for Spelljammer, one of the things that we used to kind of house rule and I've never seen made was a Spelljammer pilot subclass for Wizard.
Sure.
Like an ace pilot, being able to do barrel rolls and stuff. I'm thinking Star
World
Fox.
War II. Oh, okay.
No, I'm thinking Star Fox.
Gotcha.
My Nintendo brain. But that would be really cool because that would be a really interesting subclass for a wizard.
I can see that.
Yeah. Being able to kind of take over the spelljamming vessel, getting bonuses to ship combat, maybe being able to do spells while flying or something like that. That'd be an awesome subclass to create.
Sure.
In fact, I'm probably going to create it because why not?
You should.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be the typical wizard with like the robes and stuff. Oh, no.
No.
No, he's got to have the goggles.
Oh, yeah.
Looks a little bit like Murdoch from the A-Team. Yeah, you know, can fly anything, fly in a chair.
A cross between Star Fox, Murdoch, and like Snoopy.
Top Gun.
As the Red Baron.
And Snoopy from the Red
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe Top Gun.
Sure.
That would be fun, too. A kobold. A kobold that looks like Snoopy from the Red Baron.
Sure.
With the goggles and everything. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a spelljamming pilot. Awesome. What about you? What would you consider to be a subclass for D&D?
I like the idea of a first mate and as a fighter class.
Like a number 1?
Yes.
Would it be a red shirt?
No. I recently saw an infogram about red shirts. It's actually safest to be a red shirt. People in other colored shirts die more often.
That's true.
No, just the person who can make ballista crews fire better. People.
Oh, okay.
Like your actions that you get as a first mate is making everything on the ship run more smoothly.
So kind of like a marshal, but for ship combat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely would have to be a GIF.
Sure.
I mean, can you see a GIF first mate kind of striding through the decks? Fire that bombard.
Exactly.
Sir, there's nothing out there. Fire it anyway. Or a Hadozi. A Hadozi would be a great first mate. If you don't know what a Hadozi is, folks, it's a deck ape with wings.
Yes. Patagia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Because they glide, they can't fly.
And that's your word for today, folks. Of course, we're interested in your answer to the question of the week. And if you have one, hit us up at Goblin's Corner on all the various socials. And of course, Matt, what can you do if you happen to be watching?
You can comment down below. That is what it is there for.
That's right. And we love to hear your comments. And we've been getting a lot of really awesome comments lately.
And I would love to see, as an actual, like I'm a big fan of Spelljammer. You're aware of that. I would love to see what the community's answer to what subclasses should have existed, because I've got a list.
And tell us some ridiculous monsters you've come up with, too.
Absolutely.
Because we love those as well.
Speaking of ridiculous monsters,
we've got a really ridiculous monster, and I must say, this is the first monster I ever created for Spelljammer.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to present it today. I've had it for many years.
This is a monster with almost 30 years worth of legacy.
It has a lot of story behind it, which I'm not going to include tonight because it would take too long. But there is an awesome game, one of the first games when I was playing when I was a kid, and I came up with this ridiculous creature.
All right. Tell us, with no further ado, about fire rats.
All right. Here's the description. As you walk below deck, you spy a small, green-furred rat with bright, almost glowing red eyes.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a rat, folks. Startled, you step back and feel a crunch as your boot steps on the rat's sibling. The small squeak of the rat and the titanic explosion shortly afterward are the last things you hear.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it explodes. Fire is a scourge on any ocean-going vessel, and the second being rats. Nobody likes rats on a vessel.
Yep, and nobody likes fires on a vessel.
Fire rats combine the two into a deadly combination which can cripple any planetary ship and potentially destroy a spacefaring one. Now, in 2nd edition, they used to have the phlogiston, which was a
flammable substance.
And stepping on a fire rat in the phlogiston meant the ship exploded.
Sure.
And they were a plague. Not as deadly now, but still pretty deadly.
It's never good to have a fireball go off on your vehicle.
Absolutely true.
Tell us about the special abilities.
They can produce a fireball when crushed.
Well, there you go.
Fireball is the special ability. Fire rats emit a 20-foot fireball when killed, specifically when they're crushed or stepped on,
right,
centered on themselves. To make matters worse, they are exceedingly easy to kill. Sure. I would say 1 hit point or less. Basically, if you step on them, they die. They go, eep, boom.
Right.
Additionally, and this is, by the way, literally someone decided to try to experiment with these, which is why I have this as a special ability, biting the head off of a fire rat and tossing it at an unfortunate victim delays the explosion and acts as a grenade weapon.
Sure it does.
So you bite the head, toss it, it waits, eep, boom.
Now, it can be pointed out that cats deal piercing or slashing damage
and potentially deactivate
the fire rat.
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely true.
That's why cats are important. I think we all know at this point, but how does combat work for these little guys?
As per rat. Now, they could bite you and stuff, but generally the combat scene is to avoid the rats.
Right.
Because if you step on one, or if you see one and you step backwards and step on its brother or sister or whatever, then the ship explodes.
You sit still and use a crossbow.
You sit still, make a perception check.
So what is the ecology of the fire rats?
You love this, don't you? It's ridiculous. It's urban or vehicle environments. Being magical creatures, fire rats breed exceedingly fast. Even a single fire rat can somehow produce offspring, and in the span of mere days can easily overtake a ship. Whether as a result of their creation or sheer good fortune, fire rats fare very poorly in natural environments, dying off as fast as they reproduce in urban or shipboard environments.
Sure.
So they could live on a ship or a vehicle of some sort,
Right.
such as a flying vessel or even a cart.
Yeah, large cart especially.
And they can live in cities, because I think it'd be awesome to be tramping down in the sewer, going after that Odiug.
Sure.
Vile gases come up from the sewer, and you step on a rat, and you hear eep, and then the whole column explodes in sulfurous explosion.
They don't fare so well in natural environment because natural predators would use claws, slashing, right? Teeth, piercing.
Yeah.
Beaks, piercing.
Poison.
Right. So all of the things that want to kill them normally don't make them explode. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
A lot of fun, right?
Tell us the lore of these things. Where did they come from?
The first fire rats were the result of a wild surge aimed at a bag of beans, which is a wondrous item in D&D.
Sure.
So the wild surge hit the bag of beans, grew the beanstalk, little fire rats popped out with red eyes and green fur. This happened in Ravenloft, by the way,
Sure.
in the game, and somehow they got on the spelljamming ship. A hapless mage who shall remain nameless collected several in a scroll case for later study, and upon subsequently going off-world and losing the scroll case, unleashed these deadly beasts to every sphere in Wildspace.
Like you do.
This also, by the way, happened in my game. They put it
solely responsible for a plague.
Yes. Put them in a scroll case because he thought they were cool. He was a wizard. They got on a spelljamming ship later in our campaign and then forgot about them. And half a year later into the game goes, hey, I saw those before. I wonder what happened to my scroll case. Oh, I forgot about those on the last ship I was on. Yeah, now they're on every world. So those are fire rats.
Sure.
How delightful. You're welcome, DMs, for a nice magical beast which actually is a trap. Speaking of something which could potentially also be a trap, or certainly scary as hell, we've got a Void Kraken, Matt.
Yes.
This is an old one?
Yes.
So this is like a patron.
Yes.
A deep patron.
Yes.
Ooh, all right. Give me a description of this bad boy.
It's a Kraken, right? So it follows the traditional Kraken, or the traditional Dungeons and Dragons Kraken description, right? It's got a slightly humanoid face, giant tentacles, all of the good stuff. Except it is silvery and black with, in its face, behind its eyes, a giant gleaming spark, which actually kind of, if you've ever seen flesh illuminated from behind, how you can actually see through it.
Okay, so slightly translucent.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of picture, I know you've seen the movie Hellboy, when they're summoning the beasties from beyond,
Yes.
and it's those ice, they're encased in ice, these cephalopod-looking critters.
Sure.
Something like that, maybe?
Similar, but like I said, you can see the skull and the translucent skin behind the face.
Very cool. So we got a deep old one, in just lurking within Wildspace, maybe in a broken crystal sphere.
No, not actually in Wildspace, but in the astral plane, and there's a very specific reason for that.
All right, so it's actually in the Silver Sea.
Yes.
Cool. Let's talk about some special abilities this Void Kraken would have. I'm assuming semi-godlike abilities.
In fact, and some of them tie into their normal Kraken abilities, like create astral maelstrom or storm.
Oh, very cool. So they're the reason for the astral storms.
Yes. Regular Kraken, get regular control weather.
Badassery Kraken, get badassery storms. Got it.
They are a divine presence with all of the things that entails, the aura of awe and all of the good stuff there. They can grant banes or boons. Probably banes, but you might be good. Who knows? They can also create a warlock pact,
which is why we made this monster.
Right.
All right. In terms of combat,
probably just don't.
Yeah, because it's a deific being.
Yeah, maybe just don't stab it.
In terms of ecology,
there is only one, but it seems possible with the correct set of circumstances that another could be made.
So far, much like the Astral Dreadnought, there's only one Astral Kraken or
Correct.
Void Kraken.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Talk to me about the lore behind the Void Kraken.
At the dawn of time, Kraken were bound warriors to a deific conflict. The destruction that they wrought was basically unimaginable. But one event led to the entire race being shunned by the gods and even hunted by many of their faithful. Like, even to this day. Like,
okay.
The faithful of gods, it specifically says, hunt down Krakens. As two water deities were fighting, Kethmalkin, one of the oldest and largest of the Kraken, waited for its target to be distracted and promptly bit off the god's head and devoured its body.
So this Kraken bit off the head of a god.
Yes. And then devoured the entire thing.
Sure. Like you do. Like
a Kraken does, right. But consuming the divine spark thrust Kethmalkin, a name which has been lost to time and should be like a ludicrously difficult name to find, into the astral plane, banning it forever from feeling the waves. Not what you want when you're an aquatic creature.
So it's a pissed off Kraken.
Right. Now it roams the astral planes as a deophage, eating the dead and dying bodies of fallen gods.
Well, isn't that wonderful? A titanic astral Kraken, Void Kraken, that just consumes dead and dying gods.
Yes. I feel like it should be noted that while in a lot of cases there are ways of bringing gods back, once they're eaten by a thing what eats gods, there is no coming back from that. It's a done deal.
That's pretty much it, right? Because it's eaten the divine spark.
Yes. So, speaking of
something which is truly divine,
titanic things which devour, how about telling us about the cosmic tardigrade?
This is our final beastie for this evening, our spelljamming monster. It is, I wanted to do a tardigrade, and I was like, why not something gigantic in scope, truly awe-inspiring, so to speak. And thus, this description was born. Your vessel happens upon an awesome sight. As it passes by the crystal sphere's star, the barrelman in the crow's nest gives a fearsome cry. Deep within the star's outer layer is a titanic, 8-legged creature shaped like a cucumber.
Sure.
Because they do.
Yeah.
The creature's head turns in the ship's direction, and you hear the captain yell, "All hands, hard to port, hurry lads," as the stellar behemoth opens its maw and spits a literal sun at the ship.
Of course it does.
It's a cosmic tardigrade.
Right.
Eating a star.
Just had a little gas.
Ionized gas.
Indeed. What are the special abilities of these things?
It is indestructible.
As it should be.
Tardigrades are indestructible.
Right.
This thing's indestructible. The cosmic tardigrade cannot be destroyed, only driven off.
Makes sense.
It also has a couple other special abilities, one of which is the belch of 1,000 suns. Inside the cosmic tardigrade is the digested matter of whatever star it was currently eating. As an action, it can belch some of this matter at a passing ship.
Sure. Just here's some sun.
It has a solar corona as well.
Makes
the
sense.
cosmic tardigrade's skin is superheated, and all within 1,000 feet of the surface take 5d8 fire damage, save for half every round, because it's made to eat a star, right?
Sure.
Landing on the surface of the creature results in 10d10 fire damage every round, no save, because it's like jumping into lava.
Right. You chose to do that. Suck it up.
Yeah, it's your own damn fault.
You're either immune or you're on fire.
Finally, it has stellar location. The cosmic tardigrade always knows the direction of the nearest dying star.
There you go.
There you go. Looks for a star, eats a star, kind of up your day.
You know, if you're near a dying star, something bad's probably going to happen anyway.
Most likely, yes.
Now, let's talk about combat.
Of course you want to know about ship combat, right? I would say that this is a ship combat only. Otherwise, it is an environmental encounter. Because
Sure.
they're, Titanic, right?
Yeah.
It can belch 1,000 stars at you. I mean, it's deadly.
Right.
It's got a solar corona because it's basically on fire. It's indestructible. And you know what? Just because I'm feeling froggy today, it could trample you. It'll trample the ship.
Sure.
Stamp down on with its little tiny, cute, what are they, little pseudopod things?
Yeah. I imagine that it's a very, very low to hit number, but basically just instantaneous destruction of the vehicle.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have some hints to this. What is the ecology of the cosmic tardigrade?
Wildspace. The cosmic tardigrade feasts on the plasma from dying stars, generally red dwarfs, white dwarfs, and occasionally neutron stars. No one said that there isn't going to be a neutron star in Spelljammer.
I agree. I just, I was thinking pulsar. That's why I was laughing. I was thinking of a giant tardigrade in strobe light.
Like that. It's pulsing. What is that near that pulsar? You know what? That's fine too. I'm down with that.
I think that's how I'd introduce it, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, little disco ball star. Depending upon the type of star it consumes, this can mean the star might slowly die or potentially explode. Because it's consuming the matter from it, right?
Right.
It is extremely territorial, and any attempts to move the creature generally result in it attacking whatever unfortunate force is trying to save their son. Kind of sucks, right?
Yep.
This is basically not necessarily an elder evil, but definitely an apocalyptic event.
Yeah. I don't think it's evil. I think it just is. I mean, grasshoppers aren't evil, but if they're eating your wheat, it's still a bad day.
It's an apocalyptic event.
Is there any lore? Like, do we know where this thing came from? What's the lore here?
As a matter of fact, we have a little bit of lore. While it has been cited in various crystal spheres over the years, many sages believe that only one cosmic tardigrade is currently in existence, much like your void Kraken. Some cultures venerate the creature, believing it to be a god of the end times, and certainly its diet would, eventually cause that, right?
Sure.
Because if it's going to eat your star, eventually it's going to cause the end times. Ruins of one ancient world describe a group of mythical heroes who drove off the cosmic tardigrade. However, the means by which they achieved this feat are lost to history and should be a quest.
Sure.
This would be a great, epic quest. Your star is slowly being eaten by a cosmic tardigrade.
Even to survive this encounter, you're going to need to be astronomically powerful anyway.
Yes.
So you got to go find answers, and then you got to go deal with the problem.
Got to find the female cosmic tardigrade. That's how you drive it off.
I was thinking maybe that it's kind of like a phoenix, and it goes and sleeps in gas giants.
Oh, like in like Jupiter-sized planets and stuff like that?
Yeah. And then it basically cools down. When it wakes up, it sparks that gas giant into a star and then leaves a smaller version of itself to go eat dying stars.
That's also really cool. I love that idea as well. So there you have it. 6 creatures of Wildspace that you can use in your campaign, hopefully to add a little bit of oomph to Wildspace or to the Astral Sea.
Yeah, make it weird.
Make it weird, make it crazy, have some fun with these beings, and let us know how they did.
Yeah, let us know how your players
how much they hate
dealt
you.
with them.
Any questions or comments, hit us up at Goblin's Corner on all the various socials. Did you enjoy this podcast? We're going to spawn a few more. Subscribe to it on your favorite player, YouTube and Twitch. And by the way, if you're one of the 40% that haven't subscribed, why not?
Click the 5 stars and give us a review on iTunes, Podchaser, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps get our show in front of more people, and it feeds the hungry algorithm.
Which is currently swooping in with jet black wings against a starry backfield of feathers, and it opens its giant maw, and you breathe in the fresh air as it slowly devours you. At least you get to breathe as you get swallowed.
It's true.
Slowly digested over 1,000 years.
But with plenty of oxygen.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Once again, my name is Eric.
And I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good night, folks.
The Goblin's Corner is written and produced by Eric Holden and Matt Staples.
The music is by the Mighty D20.
This has been a Subterranean production.